Atlanta and New York on a regular basis. My friends that I started promoting with when I was in college continued promoting in Atlanta while I was promoting in New York. So I had access to all the clubs here in Atlanta, and around that time period, again, late 90s, early 2000s at that point. The Atlanta music scene was just starting to really hit. Pastor Troy came out with this record around this time, and I knew, because before that time period, you didn't really hear Atlanta music outside of Atlanta, right? We're talking about Kilo stuff. So short answer here is that I became knowledgeable about two artists that were really blown up at the time. And I went and I tried to tell this record exec guy that, went to my law school, these guys in Atlanta blowing up right now, you better sign them, And of course at that time he had the
right.
I'm
everywhere.
Exactly. So I was like, when I'm telling you, you need to sign them, man, you need to go check them out. And he didn't have time for them. They were T.I. and Jeezy.
Oh, wow.
Right.
Wow.
So after that, and what happened with them, he asked me to become an A&R with his record label. Kind of help him scout talent in Atlanta. And I agreed to do so, but I had stipulations, even as a young law school student at the time. So if I do that, I want you to give me my own label at Universal Music down the line. And he agreed to do so. So I started working with him as an A&R, and that's when I kind of really started paying attention more to the entertainment industry and what was going on and stuff. Because prior to that, I would just go to the club, dance to the music, or put it on when I'm hanging out at home, but it wasn't something I looked at as a possible career in any way. Around the same time period, I remember being at a house party in New York, and we were watching MTV or BET, and I remember them saying, brand new song, brand new world premiere from the artist Lloyd. And I remember thinking, Lloyd? I was like, I know Lloyd, I know a Lloyd. I wonder if this is the Lloyd that I know and I grew up with, because he sings. He was in a group called Noontime back, or Noon, I think it was Noon. I can't remember.
Was that college back then?
No, I've known him since high school. I think it might have been Noontime that he had. No, anyway. The long story short is, I knew an artist named Lloyd that was in a group that was a younger kid at the time for me, and I knew his family. I said, this can't be him. I looked at the TV, and sure enough, there was the Lloyd I know, and I'm friends with on BET or MTV or whatever. I thought, this is crazy. So all this stuff is kind of happening at the same time. And, then I realized, well, you do know people in the entertainment industry, So, that it still didn't hit me that moment like, okay, I can be entertainment lawyer because I see Lloyd on TV, But it did hit me that, hey, you might have more relationships in the entertainment industry than you think. And I started thinking, wow, all the people that just grew up in our little, 5-mile radius where we're at inside of Atlanta. ABC, Lloyd, Greg Street, Dallas, Austin. Whoop, there it is, people, like all these people within a 5-mile radius of where we grew up at. And it just still didn't dawn on me until around those time periods. Like, most people have more relationships than they think they do, or are closer connected to that than they would initially think. It didn't mean I was going to have all of my clients, but it kind of helped me to realize the world isn't as big as I thought, and that the barriers aren't as steep as I thought. But I still didn't think I'm going to be an entertainment lawyer necessarily, or start my career on this. So fast forward, I'm working as an A&R for this label. I'm still handling my job as a real estate lawyer at some of the biggest firms in the country, and kind of doing the A&R thing at night as a side hustle, if you will. And then, fast forward, maybe 5 years later, I've been promoted to the head of the label's business and legal affairs. I'm vice president of A&R there, and really kind of handling all the paperwork for them anyway, for all the deals they're doing with all the artists and video shoots and producers. I'm handling all the paperwork at that point for years. And I finally got my paperwork to start my own label with Universal at the Ozone Awards. I was so happy. I got my distribution deal for my own label. And thought I was going to become Puffy or Jermaine Dupri of Atlanta. And I went out and started signing some people. A group called The Flock was the first group we started working with. They were on, the battle jams for like a week or two in a row.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Then, we ended up signing the FLY that had the swag surfing song at one point.
Still hot, by the way.
I started working with Jagged Edge, twins from Jagged Edge, Brown and Brandon, and a few other artists that we were dealing with at the time. But my phone was ringing constantly.
I remember you had 3 phones at one point. I remember that. Yeah.
3 phones.
And I just kept thinking, because I was spending so much money on promotion and studio time and just trying to get the label off the ground. And I left the law firm and was focusing on the music stuff kind of full time. And it just hit me like I can't sign everyone. Everyone else told me, I can't sign you. I just got too much on my plate now. And then hit me, but I can represent you.
Well, right. So,
because everyone, thought, well, he's got a relationship with Universal, he knows the president, and blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, maybe I should be trying to help these artists out in a different way. Plus I'm spending so much money trying to promote and studio time, productions, and all that kind of stuff, when I'm actually making money. I said, I do have a law degree. Right, and I do know the legal work. So I started helping a few people with some deals, and my career on the legal entertainment side just kind of took off from there and never went back. And so gradually over the next year or two, I found myself spending and devoting more and more of my time on the legal side of entertainment law and less on the production side. And I was earning more and more on the legal side, and I said, I just need to start focusing on helping people legally, and maybe I can come revisit the music production side later on. That's essentially how it started and how it grew. From there, I did actually end up representing Lloyd and working with him and
Gucci Mane
and Carly Red, Bobby Valentino, just a lot of folks. I've had a great opportunity, Young Greatness. Who had the Moolah song. Yeah. And I always think it's cool whenever they say something about their lawyers, like, Lloyd.
Lloyd actually just did that in his song, a true song.
Yeah.
That's one thing I paid attention to. So I walked in the building and I seen Lloyd, I was like, what?
So thank you for that answer. That was very insightful. One thing I'm thinking about is when I was in Fort Valley State, which is HBCU, we used to beat you all. I
don't know about that.
But definitely historically black college. When I went to graduate school, University of Minnesota, and then I went on to Georgia State, I always felt like I carried Fort Valley with me, right? But when I went to Minnesota, it was a huge culture shock for me. And sometimes I sort of doubted myself, do I belong here? I graduated from the HBCU. And so my question to you, I actually have a 2-part question. The first part of that question is sort of what was it like for you transitioning from Morehouse College that has a prestigious name, and now you're going to Columbia University, which also has a prestigious name, in a law school, which is very high ranked. What was that experience like for you, and how did you sort of keep your eye on the prize and say, I'm gonna finish this thing? So that was my first part. And then the second part, I just kind of wanted you to lead into what would be a message that you have to young people that may want to pursue law or whatever it is, and kind of use your experiences to kind of provide some insight to them on the importance of finishing out your dream.
Sure, and as a 2-part question, they kind of correlate. I think there's going to be some overlap between them. For me, leaving from Morehouse and then heading to a prestigious Ivy League law school, if you will, it certainly was a bit of a shock as well. I mean, one of the benefits I think that I had was even though I went to Morehouse, I'm originally from Connecticut, which is blacks there are a very small minority, to say the least. But I moved to Atlanta when I was about 5 or 6 years old, so I certainly grew up in predominantly black areas in DeKalb. But going back to in Chamblee, the high school I went to is pretty diverse. But to be frank with you, in my time period, even at Chamblee, which is a very diverse school, most of my time was spent with other African Americans. Right? Didn't really have a whole lot of white friends, and if I did, it wasn't the sort of situation where we'd be hanging out together on the weekends. And so, obviously at Morehouse, it's a historically black college. So when I did go to Columbia, I did find myself gravitating towards black friends, and you know, I became involved in BSLA, of course, and
Visual is.
the black, I'm sorry, the BSLA is the Black Law Students Association.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Or BALSA, I should say, BALSA. BSLA is the Black Entertainment and Sports Boys Association,
Okay.
which I'm also part of now, but BALSA at the time was the organization that was black students, and I became in the leadership there, which is all great. I think that's necessary if you are any, you know, for me, in my opinion, if you're in law school as a minority, you should definitely get involved with those organizations, because there's a lot of good you can do and a lot of knowledge and benefits that you can acquire as well. But I do think, in retrospect, that I probably shortchanged my experience at Columbia by not networking and not getting to know other races as much there. Not to say that I isolated myself completely. One of my best friends I met at the time period was a Asian guy from Taiwan, who was just the coolest Asian guy I've ever met in my life to this day. But and I had classes with, and I did become friends with other races there. But I do believe that I could have done more in networking, and I don't know how much of that was just because I wasn't comfortable or wasn't familiar. For more, also just an expectation that there would be a cultural difference, and not choosing to break down the barriers or check behind the obvious differences in our complexion to see. And I will say this, I remember sitting in orientation, I was on the wait list for Harvard when I started school at Columbia, and I was in orientation. I got a phone call from Harvard saying, hey, we've got everything ready now, we're gonna make our final decision on you, if you can just send over your transcript from the last semester. I remember thinking to myself, I'm sitting in class now in Columbia. The professors have been coming in, the admin have been telling us that, you know, inside of this auditorium here, there is a, you know, daughter of a Supreme Court justice, and there's the, you know, presidents of so-and-so organizations and all this type of stuff. And I'm sitting around looking at myself, and I'm looking around like, what the heck have I just got myself into? And I do remember having that thought at one point. And this is where you kind of just have to have faith in your abilities and in your dream, right? Because once again, I know I'm supposed to be a lawyer since I was 5 or 6 years old.
Right.
I'm sitting next to I can do this.
Right,
You know? And just because, you know, I don't have a family history of lawyers or judges in my lineage doesn't mean that, or my immediate lineage, it doesn't mean that I can't have as good a shot at this as anybody else. So I always bet on myself, you know, in that scenario. I found that to be good for me. And I generally have learned not to operate out of a place of fear. You just won't really, you'll handicap yourself in life if you bet against yourself, or you try to shortchange yourself, or you doubt yourself. I always say bet on yourself. If you fail, then, you know, you'll learn something. You'll be better at it in the future. But in my experience, when you bet on yourself and you pursue it passionately, you'll succeed more often than you'll fail. And I think that's something that we should all, particularly in minority, as minorities, that's something that we don't always do. We're not, even though we hear growing up, maybe you can be anything you want to be, you don't always see examples of it, and sometimes it's easy to doubt whether it can be accomplished and whether you can be the one to accomplish it or not. But again, I've found that just stick yourself out there and go for it. Worst that can happen is you fail, you learn something, and you'll be better prepared to handle it the next time. And like I said, most of the time you won't fail. So, you know, I do remember also there being a time period, probably, I want to say it was around, if it's the end of my first year, or sometime between the first and second year, somewhere around that period where I started thinking, my brain is overloaded.
Yeah.
I just can't handle this stuff. It was right around finals time. I was studying, and I seriously considered dropping out of law school at that time. And I was able to pull myself away from that spiral of thoughts by reminding myself how far I had come towards my dream at that point, and that it must have been second year, it must have been the first semester of second year after those finals, because I was like, you're about halfway through this thing, you can't stop now. So,